Good evening and a pleasant welcome to LNTV Week in Review. This is a 45-minute package of major happenings that occurred during the week. It's Saturday, the 25th day of January 2020. My name is Zokwe Besdo-Konen, anchoring this edition of the program LNTV Week in Review. In our top stories, Liberia Immigration Service names Dela Bele, Monihok Momolu and Musa Sakor as persons of interest in the alleged use of forged documents by Henry Costa to come to Liberia. A member of ECOWAS Parliament in Liberia says the Commission is making interventions to reduce political tensions in more than 6 ECOWAS countries. The government of Liberia says it remains focused on implementing its policies on development, job creation, and strengthening the governance sector of the country. And in a wake of speculations that the fixture in the semi-finals rounds of the National County Meet, Youth and Sports Minister Zyoga Wilson clarifies. These stories plus many other developments are all coming up in the program LNTV Week in Review. But first, we take a short break to be back with more developments. Welcome back to LNTV Week in Review. Let's take our first story. Liberia Immigration Service during a week on a review named Dela Bele, Monihok Momolu and Musa Sakor as persons of interest in the alleged use of forged documents by Henry Costa to come to Liberia. LIS Commissioner General Robert Bude said those individuals will be invited to ascertain the facts behind the matter.
The wife of Bishop Wallo Bele, she is the last person so far that now communicated with and sent the document on. So we'll be calling the wife of the bishop to tell us how did she send the document to Henry Costa in the USA. So the investigation is still going on. It's not a one-day thing, it's not a one-day shot. It's a process. And at such time, the public will be informed adequately about what has happened, who are involved, and how the document was taken away from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We need Mr. Money Hook Momolu to come in. We went through our system at the airport. We realized that Money Hook left Liberia on December 7, 2019 and returned January 9, 2020. So our system tells us that Money is in the country. That's a manhunt for Money, because Money was the one that procured the document. We want Money to come forward to tell us how the procurement process was done. And if any name, whether government employee, who otherwise that are connected to this matter, they will be brought in for questioning. Only cell phone numbers he, Mr. Na, received intermittently from Mr. Henry Costa. And those numbers are 0886 221124, belonging to one Mr. Musa Sakor, the cousin of Mr. Costa, who only gave him now the particular passport size photo of Mr. Costa at the Pepper Fish Club, LY area.
Meanwhile, Colonel Bully said the immigration has also discovered contradictions in the statements given by both Henry Costa and his operation manager, Sylvester Teves Na.
That Mr. Costa gave Mr. Na, his operational manager, U.S. trying to procure the laissez-passer. Contrary to this statement, Mr. Na informed the LIS that he never received any money, and he was not aware of what Costa wanted him to do. According to Mr. Costa's voluntary statement, he claimed not to know the staffer at the passport section who Mr. Na contacted for the document, while Mr. Na in his voluntary statement said that Mr. Costa sent the cell phone number of one Mr. Muni Hoke Momalu, a dismissed employee since February 15, 2017, who was charged with criminal conspiracy, forgery, and impersonation in connection with the unauthorized issuing of Liberian passports. In few days, he received the procured document in a sealed document envelope, and it was at this point when he opened the sealed document, he saw the Liberian citizen travel certificate in favor of Mr. Heron P. Costa, the wife of Bishop Wolo Bele of the Bethel Cathedral of Hope, located in Congleton, where a completed document of Mr. Heron Costa was taken for onward transmission by the office assistant Anthony David due to his business wedding schedule, and said document was presented to Mrs. Bele in the compound of the Bethel Cathedral of Hope. Mr. Savage now has been stood for by his legal representative. He is currently assisting with the investigation. He has given us pertinent information relevant to the investigation. The intent of the whole investigation is to unearth individual involved in a
The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, is said to be making interventions to reduce political tensions in more than 6 ECOWAS countries. During a week, a member of the ECOWAS Parliament from Liberia, Bomi County Representative Edwin Snow, said the body is in progress in maintaining peace in the sub-region. The Bomi County lawmaker has been updating LNTV about the regional crisis.
A lot of tension in our region, and that is why some of the reasons why, if you were to bring it home after talking about this, the region, if you were to bring it home, it tells you that this year Liberia also going for senatorial elections. Last year we had parliamentary election in Togo. It was so tense that ECOWAS had to send a full mediation team, a monitoring team, to observe the election there. We don't normally send monitoring or observers to parliamentary elections. We do only for presidential election. Because the political tension was so tense in Togo last year, we had to send a full team, even in Guinea-Bissau. They had parliamentary election in Guinea-Bissau last year before the presidential election. We had to send a full observation mission to Guinea-Bissau and Togo last year. Now, this year, we're praying that Liberia doesn't get that tense, that the political atmosphere remains mature, so that ECOWAS don't have to overstretch, because ECOWAS is stretched. Countries are not paying the community levies. We're having financial issues in ECOWAS. The international community will be very busy with these presidential elections in the region, and they might not want to divert their attention or the resources to come for a parliamentary election. So I hope that we can cut down the tension back home. Yeah, we can keep focus, so that we don't have to require the overburden. We don't have to overburden the international community with one quick.
Meanwhile, Representative Snow also said Liberia supports the regional currency, ECO, as proposed by the West African states.
Well, I saw the communique from the UNIWA finance ministers through the Francophone countries. I forwarded that to the Minister of Finance, both the communique and the statement from ECOWAS. The Minister of Finance said Liberia was not a part of that 6 or 5 countries. So Liberia has distanced itself from there, according to the Minister of Finance. I also forwarded that to the Deputy Governor of the Central Bank of Liberia, who also distanced himself from it, and he thought it was a good idea. So there are ongoing discussions on that matter. Yes, it has been renamed ECHO. The modalities, all of the structures have not been put into place, but Liberia doesn't seem to be strongly opposed to that decision. I think the thing is just a matter of naming.
Okay.
And they're still, so I've spoken both to not spoken about shared text messages with both of Minister Samuel Toy and Governor Dukley from the Central Bank. From the ECOWAS perspective, I wanted to get the feedback on it so that I'll be able to inform the Parliament. And I got the respective responses, and I've informed the ECOWAS Parliament about that already. So there are still some technical works that have been put into place, and I show once it's finalized through a proper ECOWAS ministerial meeting. So that meeting was just with the Francophone ministers.
Yeah.
And then once the ECOWAS as a body now can get together and make sign a communique through the authority head of state, then that becomes a decision of ECOWAS. For now, it's just the Francophone countries that have taken the lead.
Government says it remains focused on implementing its policies on development, job creation, and strengthening the governance sector of the country. Speaking during a week at the signing ceremony between the government and the World Bank Union to support the fisheries sector, Finance Minister Samuel Toy said the sector is a major contributor to job creation and the national budget.
It's a move towards more transformative, impactful projects that have ramifications for job creation, for value addition in the economy. That's the vision that we all want to support. I will remain committed to fulfilling our end of the partnership as we roll out these projects. Madam Director General, let me say a big thank you to you. When I became minister, technically, when I look at the data on fishery, the revenues, it was like a footnote. I didn't have, you walked into the office and said, Minister, with the appointment of the President, you will see we will turn the fisheries sector into a serious contributor to the government budget. I said, well, let's give it a try. It looks like it hasn't been doing much. But because of your passion and your commitment and your capability and your leadership and your push, she pushes too hard, she gets anything she wants. We are seeing the dividends. And thanks to the President for his vision in the sector and for even selecting you as the Director General. I can say that from a revenue standpoint, you are meaningfully contributing to government revenue. And I think with developments like these, there's no reason why this sector cannot be a serious contributor to overall development, a serious provider of jobs for our people. We can't go back to where we used to be when we were exporting. Even if we can't export them, we should eat the fish that we have here. I think this is the direction. Key in all of this is continual improvements on the governance piece. We say we are committed on the governance front to improving governance in all of what we do. Transparency, fight against corruption, improved transformative governance remain the hallmark in all of these efforts.
The government of Liberia during the course of the week signed a $3.7 million advancement document as part payment of a $40 million project to boost the fisheries sector of Liberia. Speaking at the signing ceremony during a week in Monrovia, the Director General of the National Fishery and Aquaculture Authority, Madam Emma Glasgow, said the entity will expand and rehabilitate the Monserrado fishing pier.
The purpose of this World Bank project is for the expansion and rehabilitation of the Monserrado fishing pier. The Monserrado fishing pier has a great history in our country. We used to be the major exporter of shrimps to Japan, to the USA, and at that time we generated, according to the World Bank report, at least 40 million. This project will take us back to where Liberia fisheries was in the 1970s. We lose a lot of revenue, okay? Most of our industrial vessels operating in high seas, they only pay for fishing license, but they don't land their catch here. All of the agreements we've signed, even with the EU, with private partners, is that when we have existing fishing port or a fishing harbor, they will be able to land their catch here. It will be processed, 40% will be sold on our domestic market, and we will have bag catches also will be landed here. All of these things are not implemented because we do not have a fishing port, we do not have a fishing harbor, we do not have any designated fishing port for these industrialized vessels to berth. So they all berth in countries like Ghana, Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire, and Sierra Leone. So that is huge revenue loss. Also, products for export, they are also routed through second member countries. Those countries where they land are the countries that they process the export products and they get export, and the countries benefit from export fees. And we as a country do not benefit from export fees from our own natural resources.
Also speaking was the country manager of the World Bank, Kwima Natara.
This is actually very significant, and I have to emphasize that this will be a bigger project because we did have a previous project under the West Africa regional project where Liberia benefited from that project in the amount of $12 million US. But because we would like to support Liberia in a big way, it was decided that we should scale up the financing to the sector, significant impact to the lives and livelihoods of the people of Liberia. The World Bank recently, as I said, financed a closed West Africa regional fisheries program, which was instrumental in helping Liberia to develop an inshore exclusive zone for artisan fishermen. It helped draft and enact enabling legislation that was passed in 2019. The Director General referred to it, and which is going to be instrumental, we hope, in getting the requisite recognition from the EU, the yellow card that Liberia needs. And what we are hoping under this new project that is to scale up the many activities, most of which the Director General West Africa. It will involve investments in improving management of selected fisheries, improving handling of fish and fish products, and support aquaculture. The project will be implemented in Monserrato and 4 other sites, which again the Director General mentioned, to be selected in 4 coastal counties. The project is currently at the preparatory stage and design stage and will need the participation of many stakeholders to make it a success.
The Ministry of Commerce says, contrary to reports, there is enough stock of gasoline and fuel at the LPRC. Commerce Minister Wilson Tape said some unscrupulous individuals are creating artificial scarcity of the products in the country. Minister Tape spoke during the course of the week in an interview with this station.
A lot of people around this table who know a lot about agriculture. But this is what the president wants to do. So we welcome the participation of the Japanese. We don't have a problem with bilateral cooperation, but we want it to be private sector driven. This economy is private sector driven. 3, we have an economy where 91% of its total investment in this economy is not Liberian. The president intends to reverse that. So when we say session with visiting Japanese and Liberian stakeholders, the next meeting we want to have is meeting with Liberian shareholders and not stakeholders. They are 2 different things. The president's view is different. A stakeholder is somebody who have something, you know, we're doing something, there's food there, I have an interest, I want to eat. Shareholder is, I must have a share in what is going to happen there. And that's what we want to do. That's what he says, that Liberians are not going to be spectators, they will get on the field. There are challenges.
Growing out of an attempt by a number of unscrupulous businesses to undermine the market. First of all, let me tell our people, we have enough petroleum product in this country. There is enough in stock. More quantity is coming, and there will be no reason for anybody to try to create a problem. We noticed from yesterday that some business people were hoarding the gas and putting it in cans and selling it for prices far above the market. What we did this morning, because we have a robust inspectorate, was to clamp down on our activity. It's not about us suspending, but to stop people from doing that. And the warning we've given to those people involved, our inspectors are on the field. If we catch you trying to get involved in the business of hiking prices beyond the regulated market amount, then you have a problem with the Ministry of Commerce. Because this government will not condone anything like that. There is no shortage of fuel. There will not be any shortage of fuel in the foreseeable future. According to our stock, we have up to 8 months supply, and there is more coming. So there should be no reason for anybody to try to create artificial shortage. We went to the gas station this morning, and those gas stations that are involved in the business of selling only to people in containers, we told them they should serve the cars, because these people that are selling containers are the ones that are hiking prices. We throw the warning to the gas stations, and they are all falling in place because they know their failure to do that, they will have this ministry to contend with.
Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi has expressed a strong commitment to boost bilateral ties with Liberia. President al-Sisi named security, education, and human resource development as areas of support his government is ready to give Liberia. The Egyptian ambassador to Liberia, Ahmed al-Sayed Helda, conveyed President al-Sisi's message when he presented his letter of credence to President George Weah during the course of the week.
Allow me, Mr. President, to convey to you the best greetings and wishes of His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, who is having a strong commitment of boosting bilateral ties between Egypt and Liberia, and of course of a strong conviction of giving all the needed support and support from Egypt to the Republic of Liberia in its quest for the welfare of the Liberian people. Allow me, Mr. President, to express to you that Mr. Fattah al-Sisi is willing to have a bilateral meeting with you, Your Excellency, at any appropriate time. Either he is extending to you an open and standing invitation to pay an official bilateral visit to Egypt at any time suitable to your agenda of commitments, or
Responding, President George Weah said the Liberian government is willing to work with its Egyptian counterparts.
Thank you personally for all you have been doing for our country, building capacity, training our securities, and giving an opportunity to come to Egypt to form bilateral relations. We are keen to see him, and we hope that time comes. But I'll be willing to go to Egypt, let him know. Like I said to him already, I hope the Egyptians forgive me for beating them in Ghana.
they forgive you, Mr. President, of
They
course.
forgive me. So
They like you.
I will get a better applause.
Yes.
But thank you very much. We want to work with Egypt. We hope that we'll strengthen our bilateral relations for the betterment of both our country and our people. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And welcome to Nigeria.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you very much.
Well, if you have just joined us, there's a reminder that you are watching LNTV Week in Review. Week in Review is a 45-minute package of major happenings that made headlines during the course of the week. It's Saturday, the 25th day of January 2020. My name is Zokwe Beslo-Konen, anchoring this edition of the program. Stories ahead of us. Commerce Minister Wilson Tape says a bill has been drafted to criminalize fronting. The Ministry of Youth and Sports says it would not be compromised under the leadership of Minister Zilka Wilson. Public Works Minister Mabutu Yimpan provides updates on the status of road construction in Liberia. These stories plus many more developments are all coming up in the program LNTV Week in Review. We take a short break to be back with more developments. Welcome back to LNTV Week in Review. Commerce Minister Wilson Tape says a bill has been drafted to criminalize fronting. Speaking to the station Wednesday during a week, Minister Tape disclosed that the ministry will also bring into force a law known as piercing the corporate veil.
For instance, you have this business that is set aside by law only for Liberians.
Yeah.
Then you see a non-Liberian involved. You ask for the article of incorporation and they say a Liberian owns part of it.
Wow.
What we are doing at the Ministry of Commerce, two things we are doing. There is now a draft law that will be forwarded to this legislature, and that law seeks to criminalize fronting. We are also piercing what the lawyer will call piercing the corporate veil. That means if you say that you own part of this company, we go into the records to see how active you are in terms of major decision making involving this company. Fortunately, there is a framework established in the Ministry of Commerce, and we are beginning to exploit that. And that framework allows us to hold administrative hearing. And I think the first set of hearing will be beginning the second week in February. Our work is almost done. There are some businesses that claim to have that brand ownership. Our investigation shows that these ownership by Liberians are not substantive, and in fact, they are intended to bypass that. We'll hold administrative hearing, and when those hearings confirm that this is not the case, your license to operate will be revoked, and you have to restructure the company and give it to Liberians.
Meanwhile, Minister Tapper says a team of inspectors is on the field making sure that the prices of petroleum products are not inflated.
Yeah. We have inspectors in the field. I will be the first to admit to you that we have challenges with respect to the number of inspectors we can put on the field. You know, there's outside Monrovia. Outside Monrovia. Yeah, outside of Monrovia. Okay. So you have to understand that this economy is in austerity mode right now. So we have challenges on the number of inspectors we can do. In spite of all that, we got support from the President, from the Ministry of Finance to bring more inspectors, and we are working on that. The gasoline prices remain stable. Yes, there are movement on the world market. We subscribe to the international formula, but what is happening has nothing to do with that. Is the attempt of people to undermine the market. And at the Ministry of Commerce, I will be very clear. We have a robust inspector. We go after them. We find you selling gasoline above the regulated price, you have the ministry to contend with.
When will the team begin?
They started yesterday.
Okay.
They started yesterday. In fact, they started this morning. We started with the gas stations. I just sent some people across the street to Total, which is cooperating, and people should relax. There should be no panic.
In the wake of speculations that the fixture in the semi-final rounds of the National County Meet has been tampered with, the Youth and Sports Ministry says it cannot compromise the staging of the tournament in favor of a particular county. Speaking during the course of the week at a news conference in Painesville, Youth and Sports Minister Zilka Wilson says his administration will not compromise its national responsibility.
Let me first of all dispel the rumors that has been circulating on social media and in the media circle that the Ministry of Youth and Sports has been compromised. The Ministry of Youth and Sports, under my watch, will never be compromised. We are professionals here. We do a professional job. Let it be known that at no time did I receive call or any member of my team from the President regarding any due influence on the county meet. Our President is the chief patron of sports. He is the president for all 15 counties. His interest is to ensure that we sustain the peace through sports. And whichever team wins the National County Sports Meet, who phone is it, please, man? Somebody phone the 7 here. Whoever wins the National County Sports Meet, the President will gladly celebrate that team. And in fact, the winner of this year's county meet will be playing against our 1996 and 2002 national soccer team that qualified for the first and second African Cup of Nations. So,
Public Works Minister Mabutu Yimpan during the course of the week provided updates on the status of road construction in Liberia. Speaking during his appearance at the Liberian Senate, Minister Yimpan said fundings have been secured for several road projects in the country. According to him, funding has also been secured from the African Development Bank for the construction of the coastal corridor, adding that all community road projects are being funded by the government through the National Road Fund.
Our major highway, we have, for example, from Ikeno to Sestos, Sestos to Greenville, Greenville to Barclayville, and Barclayville to People. This highway constitutes the coastal corridor. This highway constitutes the coastal corridor. On this corridor, we can announce that we've gotten funding from the ECOWAS Bank for Investment and Development to do a segment of the entire corridor. Funding has been secured and the tendering process is ongoing. And the first segment will begin from Grand Cru to Sino. That's on the coastal highway. With respect to the other segments of this corridor, arrangements are ongoing between the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of Public Works, and the Ministry of Justice on one hand, and lending institutions. The other component of our major highways is the segment from Ganta to Tapeta, Tapeta to Zwedru, and Zwedru to Fishtown, and Fishtown to Hapo. Between Fishtown and Hapo, works are ongoing. The first lot, which is from Kalokia to Hapo, has been completed. The segment from Fishtown to Kalokia, we have about 60% works completed.
Meanwhile, the Public Works Minister says resources still remain a challenge, adding that out of the 13,000-kilometer road network in Liberia, only 1,000 is paved.
Also, for those roads to you. Support them. Distinguished senators, this is where we are. In terms of the road fund, the office of the road fund that you mentioned, the road fund is fully operationalized, and the road fund now remains the sole source of funding road projects in country, besides assistance that has been rendered by our international development partners. I also need to inform you that the African Development Bank remains that partner of ours that has the highest portfolio of roadworks being funded in country.
The lack of standard pharmaceutical lab to test medical products in Liberia is responsible for the proliferation of illegal and expired drugs on the Liberian market. The Liberia Medicine and Health Regulatory Authority Managing Director Keturah Smith, during the course of the week, said many business people are taking advantage of the situation to import and sell expired drugs in Liberia. She spoke at the Ministry of Information press conference during the week.
The lab is a major challenge that we are faced with. And once we can have that lab running up to WHO's ISO 17025 standards, that will be a major achievement for the global agenda, which every day I'm thinking about how can we get partners or donors to come and help us, or even the government of Liberia, so at least we can start something and we don't always have to wait for partners to come in. We can start from, we have a 5 acre of land situated in Carisburg. So what I intend doing is to at least start building some office, at least on that land, because virtually the land is empty. We just have our incinerators there, that's where we do our waste management. So at least build an office that donors will come and see, a warehouse at least that people will come and see. Then start the foundation of the lab that even President Weah will be encouraged to say, okay, yes, she wants to do something, or the institution wants to do something. Then partners will come in, and at least we can start building a quality control lab that will even serve as reference point to some countries in the sub-region. Or basically now what we do, once we want to test a pharmaceutical or medicine, we have to take it out to probably Ghana or so for it to be tested, which is quite expensive. So you will notice that virtually all the medications that we take in is so scary because we don't really have that full companion testing to verify if that medicine is 100% okay or even 60% okay, which is very, very scary. And you know that business people, all they care about is to maximize their profits. Once they notice that you have that vulnerable capacity that you are not even doing the full companion testing, they will try to bring in substandard medicines. Once they get to know that, and I think it's already clear. So we are just pushing that the government will help us to at least start the lab.
During the week, the National AIDS Commission released its report on the prevalence of HIV in the country, with Montserrado, Margibi, and Grand Bassa counties reporting the highest number of cases. Across the 15 counties, the Commission report shows that an estimated 39,000 people are infected with the virus. Releasing the report Thursday at the Ministry of Information press briefing, the chairperson of the National AIDS Commission, Theodosia Colley, said the infected include 3,000 children.
Liberia is estimated to have about 39,000 people living with HIV in this country. And out of that number, we have 26,000 women, 14,000 men, and 3,000 children, giving us the prevalence of 2.1% in Liberia. So if you look at the total number of people that get infected on a yearly basis, we have 1,900 people getting infected. And then number of deaths per year, we have 1,800 due to AIDS-related deaths. Jesus. So for the overview of the National HIV Strategic Plan, it's a 5-year plan looking at our constitution, our priorities. And this should be in line with the United Nations Joint Effort Program on HIV and AIDS, looking at the 95 target by ending HIV coming 2030. So for the first one on our list, we said prevention of new HIV infection. We should be able to reduce HIV infection coming 2030 by 95%. We should make sure those that are tested for HIV should be put on treatment, and those that are on treatment should be tested and have a viral load suppression. And most importantly, to reduce HIV stigma and discrimination coming 2030. So for the vision of this National Strategic Plan, we said that by 2030, Liberia should be free from HIV and AIDS.
Several foreign ambassadors have presented their letters of credence to President George Manuel Weah in Monrovia. Presenting their letters, the ambassadors of the Philippines, United Arab Emirates, and the Gambia vowed to pursue fruitful bilateral relations with Liberia.
This presentation of credential as non-resident ambassador of the Republic of Liberia. I'm based in Nigeria. This occasion represents the strengthening of the relationships of our two countries, made evolve into a thriving, diverse, but united community, continually delivering its promise to partner in the developments of its peoples.
Many things to do here in this country, support things, and to say thank you so much. We are therefore quite happy to continue that type of relationship. And we feel that my being sent here as ambassador would be to bring at least the notch of cooperation and friendship higher than I have found it. And I have no doubt that I can expect, and I pray.
Responding to the Gambian ambassador, President George Weah recalled the relationship between that West African nation and Liberia.
Message of solidarity and friendship to him. And I'm still looking forward to going to Gambia. So he's going to invite me. He's a little brother. We are good friends too. So we are honored that you can come to build the already relationship that we have. And we are ready to work with you, work with the Gambian people. For cooperation and business, as we discuss. There are not so many Gambians here, and my friend GB always visiting to see how we can find a possibility to open up for Gambian, more Gambians to come here. That's the best thing to do. And I want to thank your people. During the war, we went to Gambia and you took good care of us. We were all kids with our national team. And there's no we fell in love with Gambians. So it was a good hospitality, and we owe you one. So we have to make sure the relationship, we work on it better with all our people. So congratulations.
Well, this is how we come to the end of the program LNTV Week in Review. Many thanks to you all for your viewing role. Many thanks to all of our reporters, correspondents, technicians, switchers, and editors for making this package a success. LNTV Week in Review comes on every Saturday on this station. On behalf of the entire television staff, my name is Zokwe Beslo-Konin. I've anchored this edition. Good night from Painesville. Thanks for watching.